The unrelenting renaissance of turn-based tactics and turn-based strategy RPGs continues because Brigandine is back, with Brigandine Abyss being released in 2026 for all major platforms: Nintendo Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. We don't have an exact release date or price info as of yet, and if that's all that you want to know, then feel free to click away now. However, if you want the full breakdown of classes, factions, and the very impressive list of developers behind this new title, watch on. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including covering new and upcoming announced tactics RPGs such as Brigandine Abyss, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Also, a quick disclosure here. I am not someone who has played Brigandine in the past. I have played many tactics RPG series. Brigandine is not one of them, though it is absolutely on my list and is probably moving much closer to the top of that list with this new announcement. That said, if there's important context for this release or some of my analysis due to things that people know about the franchise that I don't know, please do feel free to politely correct and elucidate me. Thank you. Brigandine Abyss was revealed at the Sony State of Play, but as mentioned is confirmed for all current-gen platforms. We currently have 2 trailers and 2 English websites, as well as a Japanese website with info at the moment that I have found. If there is more to be found, do please let me know that as well. I'll have the trailers and the websites I currently have access to linked in the description. I don't think there's a huge difference between the Japanese and the English site, so I'll just link the English for now. If there's a major difference, I'll patch it in. So what exactly are we looking at here with Brigandine Abyss? Well, first of all, we have a story mode with 6 campaigns featuring different storylines and character perspectives, and all of these characters are apparently from different factions within the setting of the game. From what I understand, this is a new addition for the Brigandine franchise, which is usually more of a choose which of a large number of factions you want to play as, and then essentially play out a giant city/nation building war game with less direct storyline stuff, whereas now we actually have proper storylines as well as that mission mode with those 24 factions to choose from, each with their own goals, objectives, side missions, and the like. So it seems like for potentially new fans of the franchise, such as myself, as well as old heads who have a certain way of playing and a certain type of gameplay that they love, you've got options for both here, which is very nice. I do love to see a game that is willing to branch out while also wanting to stick to its core roots for the people who've always been a fan of it. Gameplay takes place in phases, starting with the kingdom and army building phase, where you apply your resources, make trade deals, level up, and potentially make bonds between your different playable characters, get more army units online, send out commanders on supply run missions to find more building materials or new gear that you can equip on your different commanders, etc. I'm presuming there'll also be some sort of diplomatic missions going on here, just based on the fact this is like a kingdom builder, but I don't think we've seen anything directly in the trailers yet. If that is a feature of past games, do please let me know. Once this build-up phase is done, you'll then be given the chance to invade other nations in more of a fight phase, take on side quests, and the like. Notably, it's mentioned that you do not need to do this, but I'm assuming that the only reason you wouldn't is, again, for diplomatic reasons, which could, of course, have its own benefits and drawbacks. But seeing as how this is a tactics RPG where combat is the major feature, I imagine you're going to be invading or getting invaded quite a bit. Also, since we're talking about these phases here, I just want to take a personal second here just to note, I love the scale of the map we've seen here in these trailers already. It's a beautiful map to start, and don't worry, we're going to talk about all the art and everything when we get to the team that's working on this. I've got things to say about that, and they're all good. But just the scale that you can see here with all these different cities and the different pathways and trade routes between them, and the fact that the world map is obviously much bigger than this little screenshot, makes me extremely excited. I feel like more tactics RPGs really should have kingdom management features to them. It's actually something I fielded with Link King 7 when we talked about ways Fire Emblem can improve, got a while back now in a podcast episode that we did. So seeing it here in Brigandine makes me all the more excited to actually finally sink my teeth into this franchise. Getting back to the gameplay itself though, once you do get onto an actual combat map, you'll see that maps are hex-based, and they can require you to annihilate all enemies, take out a priority leader, etc. I imagine there will be other objectives as well that we've just not seen yet. And of course, you have your standard array of stats: HP, MP, physical attack, physical defense, attack, magic attack, yada yada yada, all the things you would probably expect. What I personally like, though, is the fact that your attacks are actually used as skills, some of which use MP and some of which don't, which are more of your basic attacks, and all of which have their own areas of effect, special features, buffs, debuffs, enemy types that they're good against, elemental affinities, and the like. It's really nice to see when you have these actual army games going on that you're not just necessarily one-on-one attacking squads, but actually utilizing special powers, especially in settings that have magic like this one, or crazy monsters, which we'll talk about, to actually hit large areas of the battlefield at once and have to calculate around that. It's a nice, fresh change of pace from a lot of the more popular tactics RPGs we've seen in recent years. I'm very excited to see just how bonkers this can get. Speaking of those monsters, it is billed that there are over 100 different classes and units to choose from knights to dragons, everything in between. And I always enjoy that in a tactics RPG as well, where it's like, hey, here's all these really cool monsters and special units and things, and you can actually use all of them. Will they all be good? I've got no idea, but I can't imagine it's going to hurt to have a whole dragon in your party, right? Like, there's no way that that's just bad for you. From the couple of screenshots that we've seen thus far, I imagine each and every single one of these classes and monster units will have their own skills that they can learn, their own equipment affinities, elemental affinities, and the like. So again, depending on how many actual units or commanders or the like you can field on the battlefield at once, I can see there being a lot of possibilities for some truly wacky strategies or just overwhelming firepower or defense. We can also see here that factors like terrain and height will impact accuracy and other defenses, which I also always enjoy. Terrain is a huge factor in any sort of battlefield or any sort of war scenario in fiction or reality. We saw that in Unicorn Overlord, having a flying unit to be able to ferry your troops over a river and get around an entrenched enemy position, as a very basic example, was an extremely powerful tool to have at your disposal. So I imagine we're going to see some of that here as well, and knowing that we're going to get more modification of actual direct stats as well to imply the benefits of high ground and whatnot. Excellent stuff. Always love to see it. Would like to see it more in some of our favorite franchises, if I do say so myself. As far as the story itself is concerned, there's not a ton of story detail yet, especially again for me without context of how this game might fit into the rest of the franchise, if it does at all. So I'll refrain from commenting on it too much. Essentially, you just have a classic evil empire is invading, and your plucky band of ne'er-do-wells and heroes and wannabe, maybe anti-heroes, who knows, are going to come together and try and fight that off. And who you choose to play as is going to be what gives you your different story perspective for maybe where you're fighting in the world, maybe at what point in the story you're actually playing, and presumably what types of units you'll have available to you, at least from the start. Those are the major broad strokes of the gameplay details, but I do want to make sure that we take a chance to talk about the staff that's actually working on this title, because, dude, there's some names attached to this one, alright? First off, we've got the director and the scenario designer, Makoto Yamamoto and Iduru Matsuno, respectively. Both are from the Sengoku Basara series, which is not one that I'm super familiar with myself, although I do have some people in my community who enjoy it very much. So it's good to see that they, who've worked as a team in the past, are now working together on another title. I don't have much to comment on with them, but I'm sure there's people who can give me some insight into whether they're happy about this or not. Now, where things start to get very interesting for me in particular, and I imagine for a lot of you as well, is getting into who our artists and character designers are. And it's all gas from here, so you're going to want to pay attention. First off, Niji Hayashi, character designer and prolific artist of Fire Emblem Heroes, doing all of the OC character art, a ton of the in-game art, as well as tons and tons of alt skins for the various different heroes that have been added to the game, most of which are very high quality. I love the OCs and heroes in particular. The designs are great. And Hayashi here was apparently doing a lot of the logo art, background art, etc. Then we get to one that is particularly exciting for me, and eagle-eyed among you might have already recognized her work here. Junko Kawano, character designer and artist for the Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicles franchises. Oh, bouncing baby boy, I am a happy man. I love the character designs in Suikoden. I love them in Eiyuden. And I mean, Junko Kawano does incredibly high quality art, especially all the new character art for the remaster/remake of Suikoden 1. Oh, it's crisp, it's clean, and to have however many hundreds of potential new pieces of sprite work from her for this new title is like, please, yes, thank you. I will take all of this. I love this art. I think it's going to make for a very stylish game. Moving from one type of art, the drawn art, to another type of art, the composed art, we have Rei Kondo, who's doing the OST. Now you might be asking yourself, why do I know that name? Well, there's a few notable games that this individual has done the music and composition for. Things like, I don't know, Bayonetta, Okami, and, you know, a few Fire Emblem tracks. Recognize this one? Yeah, I thought you might. Or what about this one? Yeah, that one too. Turns out some of the greatest music in Fire Emblem history has been done by Ray Kondo, and knowing that that's the level of quality that we're likely going to be getting here from Brigandine, there are going to be some bangers, both for in-game listening and just background while we're all working on stuff or just around the house, whatever. I know I put on Fire Emblem soundtracks all the time when I'm like doing the dishes or working on editing. It's good stuff. There is going to be some banging music in this game with Ray Kondo's name attached to it. Finally, we have the supervising role that's been listed here, Masayuki Horikawa. This is an intelligence systems veteran who has done major work on Fire Emblem from Thracia 776 to Fates, as well as the entirety of the Advance Wars franchise. Beyond just, scenario editing, supervising, project management, what are some of the more notable things that Masayuki Horikawa has done? Well, I don't know. Notably, he's directed Fire Emblem The Binding Blade and Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, one of the most celebrated Fire Emblem games of all time. Just directed that casually, taking a supervisory role over this title. I think we might have something that we're really cooking on our hands here, guys, because this is an all-star dev cast right here. For some of these lead roles, I wasn't too sure how excited I was going to be for Brigandine at first because I have no attachment to the franchise, but once I looked a little bit deeper and saw all these names attached to it and realized just exactly how much star power there is being pushed behind this, I think it's going to have to be a day one play for me and a lot of other people, guys. This is going to be real spicy. Brigandine Abyss is clearly going to be something that we need to keep all of our eyes on. I will absolutely be keeping track of all new information that comes out about it, and if there's the opportunity to do so, I'll definitely do breakdowns of any new gameplay trailers, articles, and the like, as I learn more about this franchise and can try to disseminate as much information as possible to all of you. Considering it was just 2 little trailers that we've gotten in a couple of websites, there was a decent amount of stuff to talk about here. I do think I will wrap this one up for now, though. Do please educate me in the comments about Brigandine if it is one of your favorite franchises. I'm very, very interested in learning. For now, though, thank you all so very much for watching. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you to all of my channel supporters. You can see their names scrolling by on the right-hand side of the screen as we speak. That direct support from all of you makes it much easier to keep this thing rolling full time. Until the next one, though, I hope that you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.